Right, question 6 is about transformations and our trig graphs. Now these you need to learn the graphs for sine x, cos x and tan x in both degrees and radians. In this case, they've given us the axes already, so we need to do a sine x graph. If you're not sure, you can double check in your calculator, but sine 0 of 0, so we start our wave at 0, peaks at 90, crosses the axis at 180, goes down to a minimum point around at 270, and then back to the axis at 360. Now I'm just going to double check. In my case, it doesn't quite look like the maximum's at 90. I'll just make sure it is. It should look kind of symmetrical. Mine's gone slightly skew now, but we should have a symmetrical wave with the maximum point at 90, minimum point at 270. The other important thing is to mark key features, and what they haven't done is labelled the y-axis, and that's very important with the sine x and with the cos x graph, because it has a maximum value of 1 and a minimum value of -1. You need to mark those on the axes. Right, once we've drawn our graph in part A, it's now asking us to describe a transformation from sine x to y equals sine 5x. So let's have a look what's changed. Well, x has gone to 5x. So that's multiplied by 5, and it's the x. If you multiply by a number, that's a stretch. So this is a stretch. What's changed? Well, x has changed, so that must be in the x direction, or parallel to the x-axis. And the scale factor, well, when it's written in this form, if it's in the x direction, we need the reciprocal, so the scale factor is 1/5. You just need to learn your transformations. Part C involves a little bit more thinking. Well, what's happened here? We're going from 5x to sine 5x plus 10 degrees. The first thing is, this is a translation. We've added a number. If you add or subtract numbers, it's a translation. Well, what appears to have changed, is it just x, or is it in the y direction? The y direction would affect the whole equation, the whole expression on the right hand side. So it's in the x direction. There is no translation in the y direction. What's it been translated by? Well, what's changed? We might think that it's a translation of -10. Remember, if it says +10 in the equation, the vector is -10. Well, what would happen if we do that? So we go from y equals sine 5x. When we do a translation of -10 units in the x direction, we replace x with x plus 10. So let's do that. So we get y equals sine 5x plus 10. The x was multiplied by 5, so the x plus 10 must be multiplied by 5. And that would give us y equals sine 5x plus 50. Well, that's not right. That's not what we had. So what number must it have actually been translated by? Well, if we did x plus 2, that becomes a 2. 2 times 5 is 10. That's correct. So the translation is actually -2 degrees.